So if you are feeling something, there's a hot chance, hot chance someone else is too.
Yeah.
You get into this group and you find community about the issue.
Mhm.
We all know you don't want to be focusing on the issue. You want to be focusing on the solution. But I will say it's very important to feel your feelings, because to me, interesting, a few weeks ago, just prior to the move, I did a podcast on being seen, but not heard. And it's amazing the variations of issues about being seen and not heard that I didn't even think of, but Dr. J.R. Hayes did. I'm like, why you're doing the show, right? So, but it has people feeling alone. And we really don't want people to feel alone. We want to create community. And I love being in person, and it's just not possible for some people. And so it's wonderful to have people connect in the way that serves them. And, if you have a phone or a computer, right, now we can connect people to you. We can connect people to each other around the world, which is really powerful. The other thing you said was, change. So you can change it, right? And so one of the things, so I was disabled until the beginning of 2017. And I go back to work and I find myself in a situation, not necessarily at work, but in my living environment, that made me feel like I didn't have a choice. My doctor, who endorses all my programs now, Dr. Michelle Kukla of Healthy Living Counseling Center in Palatine, Illinois. She endorses all my programs. Of course, they're based on what she taught me. So there you go. But, and I learned from more than just her. The one thing that she said to me, so I would like for people to have this as a takeaway. Whenever you have an issue, as awful as it may seem, as pressing as it may seem, if you just give it time, sleep on it overnight, the energy around that issue may dissipate, will likely dissipate, and you'll be able to see more clearly within a few hours. And I think that oftentimes people feel that they have to make a decision about something right away. And I'm never a right away person. I'm a let me think about it person.
Me too.
Because time heals, time tells everything. So at time, you can find the solution or the change, right? And you've got a team, which I don't think I've shown the team, but let me do that. The team of practitioners are amazing. So let's go there. So of course we have you, but we have people, looks like Bernard Scheiber from Spain. But you have a huge team here, right? Which means you have the diversity to help people get to where they need to go. Because if one person doesn't resonate with you, somebody will. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And one of the best things about what it is that we're doing, and as we continue to grow, is that we have this amazing network effect, in that the more members we have, the more groups we offer, and vice versa. So the more groups that we offer, the wider amount of help is available, because members have unlimited access to anything that's applicable to them in their lives at that time. If that's an applicable topic and group for that person, then they're welcome to join. And those needs can change over time. So as we continue to grow and we have more offerings, more facilitators, more topics, all that kind of stuff, then the amount of help that's available continues to increase as well, and the variety. And there's things that we may not even be able to accurately predict right now, as far as like what somebody's needs might be a year from now, and I wouldn't know what I might need a year from now. But that's part of why what we're doing is to be able to continue to provide for those needs. And what does that look like? So if we contract with an organization, for example, like an employer, and they go, hey, we've got a really higher need or incidence for dealing with, let's say, dealing with a teenager on how to talk to them about whatever, a topic, let's say. We can actually create a group for those adults to help them talk with their teenagers about a particular topic. It can be that specific based on the needs of the people we're working with. And that may not be a great example, but that's
Well, I think it's a great example because oftentimes, well, I mean, okay, in Marietta, about, I want to say almost 8 months ago, there was a child who was killed at the school. And I think it was a car accident. And so obviously unexpected. And so something like that, you now have a bunch of parents who need to be able to understand how to speak to their child about death and dying.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I would say that there are a variety of ways to look at death and dying. So you would probably need more than one solution for that, because they may want somebody from the Jewish community who has a very different viewpoint of death and dying versus Catholicism versus Christianity versus my spirituality, which some people may never get. So that's okay. And so the point is that there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
And so when you have these situations, I mean, like that happened in Columbine, right? So I think that's definitely a real situation where you're going to have events at schools, and those kids are going to need very specific help, and they're going to need variations of it.
And the adults as well. Absolutely. And that's, yeah. So like and that's a great example too of how, so for example, we have a grief and loss group right now that's just general, dealing with grief and supporting each other. But those scenarios and situations can break down and be very specific. So over time, that would look like grief and loss over a particular scenario, like for a child, for example, or for a sibling, or for a parent or grandparent, or different things that people might go, that we can then break down into very specific categories. The more members we have, then the more detailed it gets. If that makes sense.
Completely. I mean, so yeah, completely. And then the other thing that you said that was, I thought, really important when you were sharing about the programs is consistency, right? Oftentimes people overlook the importance of consistency. But when you have consistency of behavior, even if you don't really know what you're getting at the beginning of a class or a group, showing up consistently to hear what you may not even fully understand at that point in time, but having that consistent behavior, the behavior alone of showing up is a gift, right? Like having that behavior of showing up. Some people don't know how to show up to stuff, right?
Right.
And then eventually over time, even if you don't understand something on the first group session, if you give it the consistency it deserves and the input it deserves, you will get something out of it. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's, if we could take, sometimes I say this to people, if we take the amount of time that we spend, we as a collective, we obviously, on social media, let's say, doom scrolling, or even on YouTube, or even watching, even if it's generally even good pre-recorded content, but if we can have that live interaction and take 1 hour per week and have that as a starting point and say, no, I'm going to take 1 hour of my time and find something that I'm going to plug into that's going to be enhancing, not taking away from. And it's a healthy use of technology at that point of how am I improving my life? How am I connecting with others? How am I supporting myself and my needs as well? And it can usually be taken from the television or from other social media platforms. If you can redirect 1 hour, that I know that there's a marked difference in the way you feel, because I not only experience it myself when I started doing this, but have lots of other people that are members who come back and go, yeah, like this is right. Like I couldn't, I missing the group. Like I have one of our actually literally our very first member who still comes to one of my groups almost every single week, even logged in from another country twice on traveling around the world, once from Africa and once from Japan, like because she didn't want to miss the group activity and the connection and catching up with people and all that kind of stuff, that continuity, that's a powerful indicator of how much impact you can have, and how much I then experience as well as a facilitator, knowing that, yeah, we built this little community and it continues on and we have impact with each other. And when you're showing up as a participant, you also have that ability. It's not just the facilitator, like this, like you're giving and receiving at that point.